Hey, Talofa Lava. Good morning. This is Lyle with Dr. John Peterson with TE2 Sports Cards. And it's early in the morning here in Minneapolis. It's about 5:30, and most of the folks at our place here, everybody except for me, still asleep. I pray that everybody's doing well out there, and that you're living blessed. Thought I'd do a quick video here, nothing too long. Yesterday, yesterday was an interesting day. We worked, during the day, did the consulting piece, and had a good day. Watched some of the legislative session video. Part of what I do with my business, my consulting business, it relates to lobbying and just following different policies and or helping legislators to draft up policies, many of which end up getting introduced. And I've got a couple pieces of some bills that are part of the omnibus bills in E12 and in higher education. So it's important to keep track of how those things go with conference committee. There's only 3 or 4 weeks left in the legislative session, so I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens here in Minnesota. We have the only split legislature in the country. We have the DFL, the Democrats control the House, the Republicans control the Senate, and then we have Tim Walz, who's our governor, and he is a Democrat with the DFL party. So always interesting, always fun. Super enjoy working as a consultant with a variety of clients. One of the main clients that I work with is the Minnesota Education Equity Partnership. Much respect and much love to Manip, Minnesota Education Equity Partnership. Really enjoy working with them and the team there. Couple things. So yesterday I ended up buying some binders and a few boxes. I don't know if you'd call them sets, mostly sets of cards, along with some NASCAR, a small amount of NASCAR memorabilia, and some starter lineup figurines, whatever you want to call them, from the late 90s. I think there's some Dale Earnhardts and Jeff Gordons, and I think there's even a Sammy Sosa and a Mark McGwire bobbleheads that are pretty good size. And I think I'll probably hang on to those with the hopes that those guys someday make it into the Hall of Fame. I guess we'll have to wait and see. A lot of the guys who used PEDs during the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, including Barry Bonds, haven't fared so well with the election process into the Hall of Fame. So we'll have to wait and see with that. I hope they make it in, though. In my opinion, Bonds and Sosa and McGwire, especially McGwire and Sosa, helped to revive Major League Baseball after a significant downturn after the strike in 1994. Baseball viewership was down throughout the mid-90s. Even the card industry was down a little bit during the mid-90s, partly because of the strike. And I thought the Sosa McGwire, even though they were on PEDs, I mean, everybody knew they were on PEDs at the time. Give me a break. There's no way you get that big without taking some steroids. But all that being said, it was amazing to watch that home run competition and chasing of the record, Babe Ruth's record, or actually, sorry, not Babe Ruth, Roger Maris's record from 1961, when Maris broke the all-time season home run record that had been set by Babe Ruth. And at that time, it was Maris and Mantle, if I'm not mistaken, who were duking it out. And I think Mantle ended up with 50, 54, 55 home runs, and Maris had 61. So anyway, all that being said, there were a couple bobbleheads in the collection. I would say there were close to, maybe 50 binders. So I have them out in the garage. I didn't want to bring them all in. I brought a little bit of stuff in. I did a really long video, so apologies up front, in 5 different parts. So I put it all together in iMovie. The editing is pretty basic, but I think those of you who don't have a ton of time for the videos can appreciate that. I just put it together, save it, upload it, and move on to the next thing. I wish I had more time to tidy up the YouTube channel and videos, but that's just not something I want to spend a lot of time with. So anyway, keeping it real here. And I think the other content creators out there keep it super real too. I love the production that Sports Card Dad and Cajun Cardboard and Sports Card Anonymous. I even like Inglorious P stuff. Inglorious P, I wish he posted more content. He's got some really insightful stuff. If you haven't checked out Inglorious P, check him out. He's kind of how would I put it? He's sharp. He's sharp, and a lot of the stuff that he talks about ends up coming to fruition. A couple things in the hobby. Rumor has it PSA posted something recently in the last day or two that they're going to be having an announcement at the end of the week. Not really sure what that will be. Hopefully it's the lowering of their prices and opening up a little more of economy. I'm still going to wait though. I mean, I've got some pieces that are currently in the chute with PSA and, bit the bullet and paid the $50. Did the subs either through Got Baseball Cards or through mostly 3-Star Sports Cards out of Bloomington, Minnesota. So we'll just have to see. I don't know. It'll be interesting. I hope the bulk rate gets down to like $10. I've got so many 1986 McDonald's All-Stars football cards. I mean, literally thousands and thousands that I bought at an auction back in December. And some of those those are rare cards. I mean, they're let me put it this way. The raw versions are not super rare, but the graded Gem Mint 10 versions are relatively rare. And there's 4 big cards in that set. And there's 2 different sets. There's the team sets, and then there's the All-Stars. The team sets were only printed in the same metropolitan area where the team was located. So the Green Bay Packers 1986 team was only printed and distributed at the McDonald's in the Green Bay metro area. So I never had access to the team cards. But the All-Star cards were printed nationwide. And I came across 3 or 4 totes of those this last December. I paid a pretty high price for them too. But like I literally have stacks and stacks and stacks. There's 4 different types. There's gold, black, green, and blue. And if you go on gem rate, you can see how many of those cards have gemmed out in the last, however many years. But the 4 big cards are Walter Payton, Joe Montana, Lawrence Taylor, and Dan Marino. And then after that, you've got guys like Marcus Allen. The list goes on. There's like 30 different cards in the All-Star set. But I'm really curious when the market kind of starts to move up back up again. Right now we're in a little bit of a dip, which is fine. It's a correction. It needs to happen. Every market has a correction. I mean, what happened a year ago was unheard of in the card industry. And the prices had skyrocketed so much that everyone knew that it wasn't going to last. Will we go into a recession as a country? Tough to say. We're definitely going to see increases from the Fed on the basis points, interest rates. Prime interest rates are going to continue to go up. I think we're going to see at least 2 more, maybe 3 more hikes this year. I guess we'll have to wait and see. And they're even talking about rate hikes next year. So that's significant because the cost of people's debt is going to rise, and already is rising, whether it's the 30-year conventional home mortgage percentage rate or credit cards or personal loans or whatever it might be. So what happens is when money's a little tighter, people spend a little bit less on baseball cards, sports cards, football cards, basketball cards, that sort of thing, soccer, hockey. So we'll have to just wait and see. I mean, I'm going to continue to sell, but I'm not going to aggressively try and sell because I want to make sure that I get my value back and then some, make a little profit on the cards that I've, found, curated, gotten graded. We'll probably continue to sell raw cards and that sort of thing, but it's not going to stop me from continuing with the side hustle and the business as part of the consulting that I do, and the book and the music and all that sort of thing. So anyway, I thought I would show folks a few of the cards that I've picked up just in the last couple days. I have a couple go-to places where I get raw, mostly vintage. I don't really do a lot with the ultra modern. It's just too volatile for me, and I know vintage better. I'm in my mid to late 40s, and was born in the 70s and came up in the 80s with sports cards, a little bit in the 90s too. But yeah, I found quite a bit of football at this spot that I go to on a regular basis. And I made it up through, oh geez, what did I look at? I think it was 70, 71, and some 72s. So just a couple things about digging for cards. I try not to dig for cards too much at shows, partly because it gets so incredibly busy, although you can find deals at shows. Oftentimes the dealers are so overwhelmed with people looking at their cards that they will sell their cards quickly and at a price point that you can actually negotiate quite a bit with dealers. If you're fair, they want to get a deal done and move on to the next customer. So if you can find a nice, quiet, somewhat quiet spot at a show and go through some of that vintage, sometimes you can pull out 2-3 cards that are in really nice shape that you can send in that come back as 8s. And I've had that happen on a number of occasions where I've paid $5, $10, maybe $15 for cards that I submitted and got back as 8s, and can post those for $100, $150. You just kind of got to know what you're looking for, and you got to stay disciplined to not spending money on cards that are going to grade as 3s, 2s, 4s. Sometimes I'll get into a 5 or a 5.5, but mostly I'm trying to shoot for 7s. That's kind of like the point that I try and cut things off at. If it's a 6 and it's a nicer card, maybe. But I try and stick with 7s, and always looking for 8s. I don't know that I've ever found a 9 digging at a show. It's really hard to do. But if you got a 9 in a vintage piece that's pre-1980, especially in the 60s or even the 50s, hey, power to you. And they're out there, but they're really expensive. So here's a couple pieces. Got some of these, I don't know what you would call these, like pre-sports flicks football cards. That's Deacon Jones. Picked up a Johnny Unitas. This is a fun one, Dick Butkus. I'll get these graded. Not really sure what these are called. If anyone knows what these are called, can you post in the comments? I picked out the 3 that I thought were in the best condition. So this is an Oj Simpson. I think this is a rookie card, because that's the photograph from his rookie year. I think these are from 1970. Nice part star. And these are the 70s. There's actually a pretty good amount. Bullet Bob Hayes. At the time, he was the fastest player in NFL. Floyd Little, nice running back for the Broncos. Joe Namath, of course. This card's actually in pretty decent shape. I think this might come back as a 6. Tom Dempsey rookie card. Tom Dempsey, for a long time, was the record holder for the longest field goal in the NFL. Got a Bolitnikov. Got a Tarkenton. That's when he's with the Giants. Lem Barney. This card's worth a little bit of money. I think it's his rookie card. That's at the tail end of Nitschke's career. But a Ray Nitschke. I thought this was in pretty decent shape, although centering's off. A Greasy. The Dolphins. Butkus. Dick Butkus, what an incredible player, linebacker, what a badass. Of course, Johnny Unitas. This has got to be one of his last years, one of his last cards. I think he was a rookie in '56. And then last but not least, I picked up a juice. I thought this is kind of an iconic football card, and it's not super rare or anything like that. Of course, the centering is, let me get it over here in the camera. Centering is not the best, so you can see, but the corners are pretty sharp. On the back, two bottom corners are a little bit dinged, but I don't know, maybe get a 4, maybe get a 5 on that. So that's an example of a higher end card that I will accept or will, consider buying. I think I got it. I think I paid $100 for it. So as long as I clear, $125, $130, I should be okay, because you figure $100, 13%, which, by the way, according to my accountant, and I'm not accountant, so I'm not giving accounting advice, but according to my accountant, who's fantastic, all the fees on eBay that you pay, whether it's promotional fees or whether it's just the regular fees, credit card, those are deductible expenses against your business, which I'm thrilled about, because those fees kill you. I've got a 1957 Clemente that I've got somebody interested in. They're wanting to pay about $485 for it, and the fees 13% of $485. That's $65. So, according to what my accountant said, if you own a business and you run the cards through your business, all those expenses are deductible expenses against your income, which is that's great news. Here's a 1971 Oj Simpson. Actually picked up 2 of those. Pretty excited about these. These are Riggins rookie cards. I think of the cards that I picked up, these are in the best shape in terms of condition, and probably the best card. I'm hoping to get an 8 out of one of those 3. Alan Page. He is a Supreme Court Justice here in Minnesota. Famous football player and famous, politician or public figure here in Minnesota. Picked up a Charlie Joyner. I don't think this is a rookie card, but it's in pretty nice shape. I think this might be a 7. Yeah, probably a 7, maybe an 8. Never know. This card, AFC semifinal game. You might think that these cards are not worth a ton, but if you can find them in 7s or 8, they sell pretty well, actually. This is a cool card. This is a Terry Bradshaw. Get a little closer with this. See if I can get the... I always have a hard time figuring out how to hold these, because if you hold it a certain way, you can't even see it. It's just the glare is so bad. Staubach. So if the Staubach and or the Bradshaw come back as 8s, these don't really cost you much. These kind of insert cards. I mean, they're part of the base, but they're like super action photos, that sort of thing. Lyle Alzado rookie card. This is a great card. Ted Hendricks rookie card. This guy was a 3-time All-American at Miami, and he's one of the better outside linebackers in the history of the NFL. This guy was 6'7". Can you imagine playing against this guy? 6'7". They called him the Mad Stork. Bob Greasy, Hall of Fame quarterback. Pretty excited about this. This is an Archie Manny rookie card. It's kind of a classic card. The Manning family is like the royalty in the NFL. And then the rest of these cards are cards that I pulled out of the stuff that I bought yesterday, which I'm going to post another video. It's super long, so I don't mind if you don't watch, even half of it. But pulled out. There was a set of 89 score. The Sanders, Barry Sanders, Troy Aikman, the Dion, they'd been pulled up, but all the other rookies were still there. Plus this Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson resale, not bad. Bo Jackson Speed Burners, Montana Record Breaker, Montana Base, Rice Base. This is a cool card. Great combos. Montana Rice. 89 score was a hot set when it came out. This is one of the better cards I pulled. This is a Rod Woodson rookie card. And a Gem Mint 10, which I think this card might be a 9.5, maybe a 10. It looks pretty clean to me. Centering's good. Corners look good. I don't know. What do you think? In a Gem Mint 10, the comps on this, anywhere from $50 to $75. Randall Cunningham. Cunningham cards have high resale value. Lawrence Taylor. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Lawrence Taylor. That guy was total beast. Maybe the best defensive player in the history of the NFL. I'm trying to think of anyone else. I mean, single-handedly, he won games. It was ridiculous. Watch some old video on Lawrence Taylor. He's got like 3-4 sacks a game. It's incredible. Fumbles, sacks, interception, returns for touchdown. I mean, there was one game, I don't know if it was 1983. I mean, he had 2 or 3 sacks, an interception return for a touchdown, caused 2 or 3 fumbles. I mean, it was just ridiculous. Marcus Allen, Bo Jackson. That's a cool card. And then some more Derek Thomas rookie card. 8 sacks in one game, Hall of Famer. Reston Love. Reggie White, Minister of Defense, also Reston Love. Jerry Rice, All-Pro. Lawrence Taylor, All-Pro. Reggie White, Predator. Found a couple Brady's. I think there's a couple more in those binders. I just got to take a look. A lot of the Brady's were pulled. A lot of the stuff had been picked over that I've initially looked at, but there was this, which is this is 2009 Upper Deck, and Upper Deck Kickoff. Yeah, I'm not familiar with what year this is, but Brady's the GOAT, hands down, greatest of all time. Maybe Jim Brown. Jim Brown didn't win the same number of championships and didn't play nearly as long as Brady, but the time that Jim Brown played, he was undisputed best, not only running back, probably best player of all time. So I'd say Jim Brown and Tom Brady. And then last but not least, got this 90, I think it's a 97 Griffey. Looks like it's in pretty good shape. I don't know, 9.5. I mean, if I hit a gem. So of all that stuff that I pulled, just from the one box that I had picked up that had a number of sets in it, I don't know. I mean, if I get a couple gem mints, get a couple 9.5s from CSG, get a couple 9s, I think I should be able to make my money back just on that box. That doesn't include the NASCAR stuff and the 50 some odd binders that are still sitting out my garage that I gotta go through. So, well, this ended up being longer than I thought. I mean, it always does go a little bit longer. But I really appreciate folks hitting the subscribe button, the like button. Leave me some comments. I know that I've heard from a number of folks, and I just want to give a shout out to folks. And I've subscribed to your channel. So if you enjoy the content, hit the like or subscribe button, hit the notification button, leave me a comment. Peace out, one love.